Hello, beloved patrons. So, this is the last class for August of 2025. You are going to be able to watch this over the entire Labor Day weekend here in the States. So, happy Labor Day. Lots of changes going on. I do believe I might actually release this to the general public on YouTube further in the month. I might around the equinox. There is a lot to cover here. And yes, this is a all is energy episode. I wanted to record and then just send this to you instead of us coming together live because there's a lot to cover. The changes that will be made starting in September is we are going to have one class live. And then our second class is actually going to be a Zoom with everybody. Everybody who can attend every month. One class live, lots of curriculum, lots of stuff going on, right? And then when we come together once, it'll be let's get back to some of the basics. Let's get through really navigating, really creating, co-creating this matrix, okay? So, if you are a viewer catching this later, hello, hello. I teach twice a month at patreon.com. It's only $5. Consider joining us. Beloved patrons, we have covered in the whole All is Energy series so far. Remember, we started with perception, then into atoms. Try to go back in your memory about that. Into atoms, right? Our cellular level atoms. Go back to and watch that if you need to. Into vibration, light, sound, energy, da da da, motion. Yes, okay. Tonight and last time we went back into perception and we started talking about gravity. We started talking about all this stuff. And I kept saying the ether, like formless, it's right here. There's energy right here. Just take that energy, whoop, make it into something. Let's talk about it tonight. So buckle in if you need to. This is why I am definitely pre-recording this. Take it in small doses. Small doses, everybody. Oh man. My teacher last night, beloved Master Lady Kira, I was in class with her. Oh, teachers need teachers, healers need healers, right? She said something. What did that divine woman say? Oh, God bless her. Because when she said it, I went, "Oh, that's exactly what the patrons are going to learn." She said, "Divine perfection in motion." Divine perfection in motion. That is what we are witnessing everywhere. That is what you're seeing right now. Divine perfection in motion. Let's talk about it. Oh, when she said that, I got real excited, everybody. Real, real. Oh, these glasses are filthy. My glasses are filthy. Now that I need to wear glasses. We tonight are going to be in Edgar Cayce, but we are going to be in the Edgar Cayce Companion. So, as I had said before, those who want to take a deep dive into Edgar, it's not as easy because a lot of his material, it's just question and answer. And remember that they were just they were just writing down the answers. Casey didn't really understand it. I mean, he would read it after he kind of came to out of his deep meditated state and go, huh, huh. So he learned a lot though, which is good. And it wasn't until much later that he understood his gift more and how to operate it within himself. So a lot of the material I'm breaking down for everybody. And tonight, for us, all is energy. I think this is class 9 or 10. We're going to be in this, the Edgar Cayce Companion. So it is literally just questions and answers. I'm going to back it up a little bit. This is not necessarily about energy, but it is because all is energy, right? This is about psychic, mystic, and occult forces. I wanted to start here though. Okay, so I'm going to start reading. I'm going to break it down and stick with me. Even if you have to pause this and walk away, remember where you are in the time frame, right? All right. We are on page 24. There is both mental phenomenon, the soul phenomenon, and spiritual phenomenon. All psychic phenomenon for psychic means of the mind in the accepted term. So, as what we would say, that's an accepted term, right? Psychic means of the mind. Then, as we see manifestations of any of the Then, as we see manifestations of any of the conditions that relate to the physical mind, the portion of the soul entity belonging to the physical, the portion of the spiritual belonging to the physical, we see the phenomenon or the psychic phenomenon manifested in the material world, whether projected from the world into mental space or from spirit world into mental or material world. Keep each separate. There is no condition existing in the world as the earth plane, but that there is the phenomena in every action of physical forces manifesting. Let me continue. Listen to the birds. Watch the blush of the rose. These serve their maker. Through what? That psychic force that is life itself. We are conscious of the action of psychic forces in the same manner in which we are conscious of the action of electrical forces. So let's go back to what they were saying. So they're saying material, right? The mental body, the mental and the mental, right? Mental phenomenon, the soul phenomenon, the spiritual phenomenon. So that's three different things, by the way, that all encompass within you in this physical body. All psychic phenomenon for the psychic means of the mind, right? In the accepted term. Then as we see manifestations of any of the conditions that relate to the physical mind, the portion of the soul entity belonging to the physical, the portion of the spiritual belonging to the physical, we see the phenomenon or the psychic phenomenon manifested in the material world. You, whether projected from the world in mental space or from the spirit world in the mental or material world. That means everything that we see, I have this book in front of me, Ruth Montgomery, wonderful psychic. This book, projected, projected, because I see it. Like you're a projection, I'm a projection, everything's a projection. We're starting to learn this with the Cayce material last Wednesday night. Stay with us, folks. Projected. So either we're projecting it from the mental space, or we're projecting it from a spiritual space. And they're saying keep it separate. One reason they're saying keep it separate is because there's a whole lot of other spiritual entities, beings, behaviors, thoughts, what have you, because this is about the occult, that they're saying keep that stuff separate. You might not want to draw in and bring in something from that world. We are conscious of the action of physical forces in the same manner in which we are conscious of the action of electrical forces. So all of us, this is why it's like I love the term psychic because we're all actually psychic. We're all actually projecting and creating materials into this world, right? We're all creating, we're all co-creating. That'll come in a bit later. And I'm not going to go into all the occult stuff. We'll probably go into that at some point. Page 25. And this is how it works. So we just learned we have the mental, the soul, and the spiritual, right? The mental, the soul, and the spiritual phenomenon. Use the word phenomenon because it is a special thing that we are all projected. That this is all here, that this matrix exists, right? Phenomenon. Phenomenon as in we don't really know how this works, now do we? Phenomenon. Huh. Hmm. How's that happen? Miracle. Phenomenon. Things that happen that we're not exactly sure how they happen. Let's talk about how they happen. I love it. This gives me so much happiness, so much joy. All is energy, folks. All is energy. Page 25. God, the first cause, the first principle, the first movement is. Capital I-S, exclamation, is. That's the beginning, that it, that's the beginning, that is, that was, that ever shall be. So, in a lot of this, they also refer to as God, as we like to say, God, as the first cause. Now, many of the patrons here have heard me say repeatedly, change the first cause, because Hermetics talks about the first cause, the Nag Hammadi scriptures talk about the first cause. A lot of things talk about the first cause. We're going to learn right now, why has Courtney said for the past 3 years, change the first cause, change the cause, right? Change the cause. If you want to change things in your life, change the cause. Because the first cause is the God that lives within you. Change the cause. If that's the first and the first lives within you, therefore you can do it. Let's get into it. The following of those sources, forces, activities that are in accord with the creative force or first cause, creative force or first cause, its laws then is to be one with the source, or equal with yet separate from that first cause. Equal yet separate, because I'm in this body of form. I'm in this body of form. I am my own spirit. I am my own soul. I am my own mental. I'm in this body of form, separate, equal. Equal with I lost my spot. Hold on. Equal with, yet separate from the first cause. When then when then, so like once someone acknowledges that, man as an element, an entity, a separate being manifested in material life and form, be aware of conscious of the moving of the first cause within his own environment. Or taking man in his present position or consciousness, how or when may he be aware of that first cause moving within his realm of consciousness? Back to my teacher last night. Divine perfection in motion. I say all is energy. divine perfection in motion. Man becoming aware that the first cause is always moving. Let's list the names again. God, the first cause, the first principle, the first movement is, capital IS, 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 abracadabra, is. That's what abracadabra means. It is, is. hmm Taking man in his present position or consciousness, how or when may he be aware of the first cause moving within his realm of consciousness? So ask yourself that question right now, beloveds. Just ask yourself, am I aware? Just aware. We don't need to know all the phenomenon operations, how everything goes. Are you aware of divine movement? That it's all around. That ether that I'm talking about, that we can just grab a hold of and create form out of formless. Motion. Are you aware of the divine movement? Just aware. We just need to be aware first, right? In the beginning, there was the force of attraction and the force that repelled. Hence, in man's consciousness, he becomes aware of what is known as the atomic or cellular form of movement, but which there becomes nebulous activity. And this is the lowest form, as man would designate. It is the lowest form that's in active forces in his experience. Yet, this very movement that separates the forces in atomic influence is the first cause, or the manifestation of that called God in the material plane. Ooh. Patrons, why do you think first we started with perception? Because perception is going to have to be discussed all the way through because that is the projector. And then we moved right into the cellular level. The cellular, how cells divide and multiply. The expansion within a single cell is the space of the whole universe, right? In a single cell. We consider it low, right? We think it's like the little baby thing that, little baby thing, but in reality, it's the first cause. It's what creates everything. It's what is in us. And I remember talking to you about why don't you just meditate? Meditate on all the cells that are in your body, the ones that have left, the ones that have regenerated, the ones that have multiplied, all sorts of stuff. Think of that so you can understand the magnitude, the size of your infinite power. I mean, think of that. If each little cell has the entire galaxy pretty much within it. Hmm. We're full of the first cause. We're full of actually knowing and remembering and how to do this. Because we even had the video about our DNA, right? So, to not go backwards, to keep going forward, think about this though. Please think about this because I know for at least 3 years now, since I've been doing Stars of the Morning Light, I have talked about how does someone change water to wine? How does someone feed 5,000 people with two fish? It's because they understand that cellular level, they understand it. They understand the first cause. They understand. Yet, this very movement that separates the forces in atomic influence is the first cause, or the manifestation of that called God in the material plane. I've said it a bunch of times. If we want to create form out of the formless, we have to understand this. If we want to feed 5,000 people with two fish, all we're doing is multiplying the cells. We are connecting our movement with the creative movement. And we're understanding the movement within all this divine perfection in motion. Let's keep going. Then, as it gathers of positive, negative forces in their activity, whether it be of one element or realm or another, it becomes magnified in its force or sources through the universe. Hence, we find worlds, suns, stars, nebula, and whole solar systems moving from the first cause. When this first cause comes into man's experience in the present realm, he becomes confused, in that he appears to have an influence upon this force or power in directing samely. And then they scream, certainly, certainly you do have an influence. Much though in the manner as the reflection of light in a mirror. For it is only reflected force that man may have upon those forces that show themselves in the activities in whatever realm into which man may be delving in the moment, whether of the, whether of the nebula, the all they start listing a bunch of stuff, or the elements that have gathered together in their activity throughout that man has chosen to call time or space, and becomes in its very movement, or that of which the first cause takes thought in the infinite existence or consciousness. I'm going to keep going. Hence, as man applies himself, I didn't think I was going to pause there, but let's pause there. Hence, when man applies himself, or uses that of which he becomes conscious in the realm of activity, and gives or places the credit in man's consciousness to the correct sphere or realm, he becomes conscious of that union of force within the infinite with the infinite force. I'm going to sum all that up for y'all, that when you actually start applying what you might learn with like the occult, with your spiritual stuff, when you actually start taking knowledge and applying it, that's when you start truly identifying, oh wow, I might be separate, but I'm the same. That's when the made in the image of God makes a whole lot of sense. Hence, in the fruits of that, hence, in the fruits of that, as is given off, as the fruits of the Spirit, does man become aware of the infinite penetrating or interpenetrating the activities of all forces of matter, or that which is a manifestation of the realm of the infinite into the finite, and the finite becomes conscious of the same. So does life in all its force begin in the earth. The moving of the infinite upon the negative of the finite in the material, or to become manifested force. Now, bear with me. See, so a little side note for everybody. When I do readings from the Akashic, oh my goodness, they they do talk like this. It's very, they talk like this. I put everything into common language. Hence what I try to do here with you. Common language, right? Just common, you can do this. It's not all that hard. Believe in yourself. Trust, know, apply, right? You can do this. What this is all saying is it's leading into where we're going. Like, what do you mean taking this first cause that is within us, and we know it even at the cellular level, right? How do we do this? What do we do? The first thing you have to do is you need to be aware. You need to be aware of the divine moving all the time. All the time. This is what the the Buddhists would refer to as more of like purity in a way. That energy that they want to arrive at, that or they're just with that pure energy, that's what they're talking about. That divine energy that is in the motion of all things. The whole universe, you, me, that pure energy. So some call it the first cause. Some call it pure energy. Some, as we move on, they will be referring to it as the creative energy, right? We have to become aware that that is actually what's flowing through everything first. Just be aware of it. And that's why they moved into watch the birds, watch the petal of the rose blush, right? Watch life happen. That is creative energy. And then they moved into the cellular level because when we look at that rose and then we take that rose and we look under it on a microscope, right? We know that that rose has the potential to have a complete life, right? And blush and be beautiful and smell so wonderful and fragrant. But if we were to take that rose and look at it under a microscope, it looks very different, don't it? But yet all of that that's within its little makeup, all its little cellular levels, right? All its little atoms, right? Atomic little ways, right? When we see it that way, it's very interesting to see something that way and then to see it in its completion. Because there's something that in us that there's like a pause, right? There's like a pause. It's hard to look at the cellular level of something and then look at its in its creation in its entirety. It's hard for our brains to go from one to the other. It is for most. It is. And this is why we're in awe of it, right? We're in awe of these things. In that pause that we're needing to apply. What do you think is from one to the other? From looking at something under a microscope, cellular level, little atoms, Little atoms doing their thing, right? Down to that, the smallest of the smallest ways to a complete formed, beautiful rose. Think of those. Just think of those. Okay, just think of that. Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can have one image in our mind of the little, you know, cellular level, little atoms all bouncing around, and a complete rose. Red, white, it doesn't matter. Your rose, right? We can picture those. You see that pause kind of there, that, huh, huh, huh. Even if we know through science how this happens, for the average person, for the average person, what do you think is happening in between? In between those two images, from little start to completion, a complete formed rose that you can hand to someone. What do you think is happening? Ask yourself. I'm going to answer it for you. But within your own answer could be your asset of moving forward in this, or could be your blocker. The answer is the motion. It's the movement, it's the vibration. We're about to get into it. So that's where they were trying to lead us. They were trying to lead us from, hey, first cause, it's in you, even though you're separate, it's in you. You're a psychic phenomenon. How did you get here? You know, they're trying to be like, hey, those meat suits, they are designed pretty spectacularly, right? They're trying to lead us somewhere. I love it. I absolutely love it. We're going to keep going on page 27, and then we're going to jump into page 51 through 54. So stick with me, folks. And patrons, send me questions. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you've missed a lot. That's all I'm going to say. You've missed a lot. See, the patrons here, we've been discussing this stuff for quite a long time. I'm releasing this for everybody to kind of, I don't know, just at least have the awareness of divine, mo divine presence in motion. The the perfect divine presence in motion. If you're just an average viewer or you're new to Stars of the Morning Light and you're catching this later, because I am going to release it, if we can get that, that's a miracle. That's wonderful. So let's just focus on that. For others, viewers that might have already looked into some of this stuff, delved into this stuff, know that the patrons have been discussing many great things, how all is energy, and how creating form out of formless is not all that difficult, and how you can feed 5,000 people with two fish. That is what we do at Stars of the Morning Light on patreon.com. Okay, this is the fun part. And the whole creating from positive and negative, that is what we're leading into. Because don't we live in the negative? The 3D? Well, I don't live there. You might live there. You don't have to live there. You have a choice. Very dense, extremely dense. We're going to get into it. Page 27. As in numbers, one builds upon the other as units, and all are formations or divisions or multiples or units of one. So the universe and the expressions of within all natures within same are the manifestations of one force, one power, one spirit, one energy known as or called the universal force, creative energy, or God. So all things, as in numbers, one builds upon the other as units, and all are formations or divisions or multiples or units of one. So everything that beautiful divine energy is moving through, one. It's how we build upon them or break them down or multiply them. That is known as the universal force, the creative energy, or God. The life, capital F, the life or manifestation of that which is in motion is receiving its impulses from the first cause. What is the first cause? That which has brought is bringing all life into being, or animation, or force, or power, or movement, or consciousness, as to either the either the material plane, the mental plane, or the spiritual plane. The first cause, the first cause, that is what brings. That is what brings in everything. That is what brought, that is what brings all life into being. Or animation, right? Or force, like different kind of energy, or power, or movement, or consciousness, as to either the material plane, the mental plane, or the physical plane. So the material plane. This is trees, earth, even this book, all of it, material plane, us, bodies of form, these meat suits people talk about, material plane, mental, mental plane is you having that thought about the book you want to write, you having the thought about what you want to create, you having the thought about, man, I want to have a child one day, you having the thought, because isn't it our thought, we have to first have the thought in order to create. Right? Mental plane or spiritual plane, which is a whole lot of feeling, whole lot of feeling. And we're not going to go into all the planes. Hence, it is the force that is called Lord God Jehovah. Wow, they start really listing some names, Abba and alike. They end it with Abba and alike. That's awesome. Hence, the activity that is seen of any element in the material plane is a manifestation of that first cause. One force, one force. For the movement itself draws about a nucleus the positive and negative forces as to bring into visibility from one sphere or realm to another that force or power. Negative being error, positive being right slash good. For no, the greatest lesson the world has ever known and may ever learn is, know ye people, the Lord thy God is one. Mark said that actually. The Lord God is one. One, meaning all energy. All energy. That it's right here. Hello, energy. I'm moving my hands in the energy. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not something above, below, everywhere. But pay attention to how it's said. One force for the movement itself draws upon the nucleus. And it's interesting because the word draws in this is actually bold. Sometimes words in this are bold, dark print. Draws. Well, how do we use that term? We use when we're drawing a picture. That's a creative thing. Draws. Draws about a nucleus the positive and negative forces as to bring into visibility, oh, sorry, visible form from one sphere or another to another that force of power. From one sphere or another, from somewhere, from the material, from the mental, from the spiritual, from the ether. The Lord thy God is one. This is thy message. This is thy purpose. Proclaim and sow that the seed of unity of purpose that may be found within. And that is thy mission through these experiences. That is thy mission through these experiences. For us to finally get to, whoa, I'm the same but yet separate. Because that energy is flowing through everything. It flows through me. I'm the same but separate. I could potentially, I can, if I want to, do the same thing, like feed 5,000 people with two fish. That is the mission. First, the continuation of life. There is there is no time. It is one time. There is no space. It is one space. There is no force. It is one force. No man, no physical matter has ever seen God at any time, only the manifestations of him. So I always used to say, I can't stand, personally, I can't stand when people say there's no such thing as time, that there's no such thing as space. I can't stand it because, yes, there is. It's just one. It's one. So just because people can't wrap their heads around it, the oneness, the one force, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Hmm. There is no time. There's one time. There is no space. There is one space. There is no force. There is one force. So, time, space, force, all of it is manifestation. We see it throughout all. Divine presence in motion. Perfect divine energy continuously. That is life. That is life. We are a part of that. So, yes, there is a time. There is a time. There is a space. There is a force. One, one, one. It is all one. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I know that's big. I know that's too big for, I know that's big. I know it's big. I know it's big. And that's not even the point of this conversation. I'm just, I guess, saying a little bit of my pet peeve. Because you know why? You know what my ears hear? And this is just me doing my little rant thing, beloved patrons and viewers of YouTube. When I hear people, and I hear it actually quite a lot, and it's just jarring and When I hear people say there is no such thing as time, for me, then I hear there is no such thing as God. When people say there is no such thing as space, then I hear there is no such thing as God. That's why it's drawing to me, is that all of it's the same thing to me. It's all the same. It's all one. I am it. It is I. It is, is. So that's why it's jarring, because that is not the case. That is not, that's not the truth that people are trying to seek. Just because it's not what man has told you, well, shit, ain't none of this what man's told you. So that's why it's jarring to me. That's, it's jarring to my senses, to my senses that are one with God, that are one with the creative force. I'm like, whoa, they're saying I don't exist? Hey, wait a minute. What? Because if time and space doesn't exist, neither do you. Neither do you, darling. See? So we need to watch what we're saying, right? Right. And I know none of the beloveds here say that, but we hear it a lot. So if time and space does not exist, which it does, it's one. It's one. If it doesn't, though, like people say it doesn't, that means they don't exist. We don't exist. Nothing would exist because that is, it is. That is. God. Anyways, that was my rant. I'm gonna keep going. I know y'all love it. Y'all love it when I rant and lose my mind. Lose my mind. That's okay. It's floating over there in the ether. I'll go get it. Oh my goodness. Know that the creative energy called God may be as personal as an individual will allow same to be. Allow same to be. So, same as in, are you going to allow this to be? Are you going to, it's up to you. It is truly up to you. Know that the creative energy called God may be as personal as the individual will allow. For the spirit is in the image of the creative forces and seeks manifestation. It may take that personality, that personal activity that will be allowed by the individual itself. For we are co-laborers, co-creators with that energy we call God, that energy we call universal forces. While this may appear to be the whole, if we will understand that the Lord thy God is one, and all power, all force emanates from that one source, we will get an understanding of ourselves and our abilities. Know self. They have that in bold, exclamation, all capital letters, know self. Be true to self. Also in bold letters. Be true to self, and ye will not be false to anyone. And do not be false to anyone. Know yourself. They are saying exactly what I'm saying, right? They are saying that lives within you. That lives within you. You are a part of that creative energy force that also wanted to live a manifested expression. Hey, body of form, you're looking good. When was the last time you said, hey, body of form, you're looking good? Yes, you chose it. You wanted it. You wanted to experience all this. Yes, you beautiful spirit wanted to experience, be a part of this manifestation. It's wonderful. You lovely projections. It's great. Know thyself, because if you know thyself, you'll know that you are one. You are one with time and space. You are one with all of creation. You are one with all of the creative energy. You are one, one. Okay. And how does this play out then? So this is an interesting section, and beloved patrons, we're going to be back in this section privately together. Let's say that at a later date, because this section of his ratings is called Life in its Manifestations is Vibration. But the page that we're going to be on is Matter is created by vibration or polarity. So I want to break before we continue with this. So I know a lot of people are stretching themselves to achieve fifth dimensional awareness. They are. People are stretching themselves. And I think they're stretching themselves because fifth dimensional consciousness living has, man, had some great marketing. Like, how did 5D get such great marketing experts? I'm wondering. Fifth dimensional conscious living is not so much the Christ consciousness. It is where we practice compassion, right? Compassion fills and fills it and fills it and fills it. But that compassion is very much there for us to gain more of the self-awareness to do exactly what we just talked about. Know thyself. Do not lie about who you are. Do not deny or be false to anyone. Know yourself. So 5D is the continuous practice and feeling and experiencing compassion for self and others, right? It is a whole lot of different transition as we're learning, we're experiencing, we're making new decisions and choices, we're receiving and giving, we're receiving and giving, we're letting go, right? We're doing all these things while maintaining not sinking back into fear, shame, guilt, right? Even pride as an ego-based mentality, us versus them. That is not 5D. But I do know there's a lot of beautiful people, amazing people that are stretching themselves very thin in this grandiose idea of what 5D living is. And I think it's because fifth dimensional living has been um, marketed as like seventh dimensional living. So I want to be very clear here. And it was lovely because my teacher actually spoke about it last night, and I've talked about it, but the way she put it, I was like, right on, thank you. Thank you. I kind of, maybe I'll steal those words. So thank you, Master Later Lady Kira. I'll send her an email. Hey, I stole some of your words. She don't care. As long as people are becoming aware. Say I feel the same. Um, in class, she said, hey, because we're talking about seven, right? We're in those classes, we're operating more as to seventh dimensional living, right? Five is a very big period of transition. So let's say we're in third dimensional living experience, right? But then we have that teeter-totter, that do I stay or do I go? What do I do? Do I stay or do I go? This teeter-totter. I'm real angry. No, 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 I'm doing okay. I'm real angry. No, I'm doing okay. The teeter-totter kind of stops when you get into fifth dimensional living. The teeter-totter stops. You've made your decision. You're not going back to the harmful old ways. You're not allowing people to, abuse and misuse you as we might have in the past. We're not doing it to others as we might have in the past, right? Know thyself. We're healing. we're expanding, we're learning, we're growing. So five is a whole lot of different transition. And the layers to that transition, well, that's where we're getting the word expansion from, right? Because every time a layer is, whew, let's take that one. Let's transition out of that. Let's detach from that. Let's do this over here. Let's make this choice over here. That's the real onion. And then the expansion of breath out of that. Okay? But for some reason, fifth dimensional living experience has been marketed, propagated. I don't know the word that I wanted to use with this, as if you are going to walk around in as Christ. That's not. That is, I said it before here at Stars of the Morning Light, I think live at some point. Um, Christ consciousness in a body of form that walked this earth. That was seventh dimensional living consciousness in this body of form being directed by the ninth dimensional consciousness. Ninth dimensional consciousness cannot exist and live in a body of form here because of those atoms that we're going to start talking about, that gravity, that negative that has to be there to have creation here on this earth. Ninth dimensional consciousness can direct the seventh while it's here in this body of form, but it cannot be directly here due to here for us to see things, for us to pick things up, for us to eat things, for us to all sorts of stuff, walk around, have fun. All of that cannot operate. Nine cannot be here. It would not be able to be in the density. Seven, though, seventh dimensional consciousness living. That is the Christ consciousness. He was directed by his ninth dimensional consciousness guiding his actions and his thoughts and his words, but it was not present in a body of form walking the earth. Why I'm bringing this up is because I'm about to explain why. And I'm about to explain matter is created by vibration or polarity. Life in its manifestations is vibration. The ninth dimensional vibrations cannot be here. Seven can though. So I'm bringing this back up because I'm witnessing a lot of people striving to somehow make fifth dimensional consciousness living perfect, as if that is the representation of Christ. That is not the case. That's not the case. So cut yourself some slack because when we're doing that, we're not practicing the compassion that is actually fifth dimensional living. It's layers, it's transitions. It's definitely when we are seated in that, anchored in it, allowing ourselves to be guided by our seventh dimensional self, to not retreat back into three. This is where this stuff is learned. This is when we do lot of healing. This is when we peel back all of the dogmas and start laying them down. This is when we really get to know ourselves. For then, when all of that kind of has happened, we truly do start to apply. And then we apply. And then we apply. And then we apply. And many of the patrons, y'all, have done this. You're doing it. You're doing great. So everybody Give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a break, right? Compassion to self and others. Compassion to self and others. So, I wanted to bring that up because y'all, I did not even know that. I did not know there's that much stuff out there. Like what I'm teaching and doing, and now I do know why I'm different. I very know why, well, I always knew I was different, but I didn't know, I didn't know the magnitude of what was out there. Exploiting. That's the word that I was looking for. Thank you, mind. Exploiting 5D. That's well, that is what it is. Okay. All force in nature, all matter is a form of vibration, and the vibratory force determines as to what its nature is, that given by the cell itself, from which it produces, as is seen in all matter. When matter comes into being, what has taken place? Question mark. The spirit ye worship as God has moved in space and in time to make for that which gives its expression. It's moving. It's moving on your behalf. I mean, literally the question was, when matter comes into being, what is taking place? First of all, divine emotion. God has moved in space and in time, so it does exist, and it's all one, to make it for which gives it expression, perhaps as wheat, as corn, as flesh, as whatever may be the movement in that ye call time and space. Let me read that better for everybody. As whatever may be the movement in that which is called in time and space. Matter moved upon, or matter in motion in materiality, becomes the motivative force we know as the evolutionary influence in the material world. An entity or soul is a portion of the first cause, or God, or creative energy, or the terms that may be had for the movement that brings matter into activity or being. So that's why we had to start where we started. Because if I just read that to you and said, whoa, the entity, which is you, everything's an entity, by the way. An entity or soul is a portion of the first cause. And we just spoke about the first cause, creative energy, God, whatever source, right? Force, power, whatever you need to call it as. Divine, you're a portion of that. You're a portion of that in motion as well. But let's go back up for a moment. All force in nature. So all energy, all force in nature, all matter. So all force in nature, that is also the tornadoes, the storms, water, all of it, soil, rock, mountain, all of it. All the forces in nature, fire, all of it. All the elements that people are, wind, all of it, everything. All force in nature, all matter is a form of vibration. And the vib the vibration force determines as to what its nature is. So the patrons, we've been covering this. We covered it definitely with sound and light. We covered it definitely with sound and light. Remember when we talked about the different kind of waves that how sound and light, when they come together, we also talked about we got to call it. We got to name it. That's a mountain, that's a water, that's the ocean, that's you, that's me. We got to call it. Why? Because we're going to keep going. As to what is nature is abracadabra, that given by the cell itself, from which it produces as is seen in all matter. When matter comes into being, okay, they're asking that question. When matter comes into being, what is taking place? God has moved in space and in time to make that for that which gives its expression. Perhaps as wheat, as corn, as flesh, as whatever may be movement in that ye call time and space. So God, when matter comes into being, how does that happen? They said, well, God's moving in time and space, right? It's either moving fast, it's moving slow, it's knowing how to move. Right. Here's the part that I really would like everybody to pay attention to, though. Then they start listing. It doesn't matter if it's wheat, if it's corn, right? Let's time and space to make that which gives it expression. Your body of form is giving your portion that is of the one expression here in materialization, right? So you can express. You are the expression of that portion. But this needs to be a part of it. God has moved in time and in space to make that which gives its expression. Perhaps as wheat, perhaps as corn, perhaps as flesh, as whatever may be the movement in that ye call time and space. Call. As whatever may be in movement that is called into time and space. I am always saying we have to, even if we're creating something that has never been done, never been seen, never been witnessed, and even though you are a portion of God, one, it's still whatever it is that we are creating. We got to identify what it is. I mean, heck, if somebody did not say, hey, if I did not say human body, brown hair, brown eyes, 6 foot, there she is. If somebody did not call me Courtney, if that did not all take place, I could be living in some other form. We are designing, we are co-creating, we are designing, drawing. Matter moved upon, or matter in motion in materiality, becomes the motivative force we know as the evolutionary influence in the material world. Meaning we keep just kind of drawing the same stuff over and over and over again. We see something, we get a creative idea, we create a new. Not bad. Well, it's not bad. Continue to stay with Stars of Morning Light because times are changing. An entity or soul is a portion of the first cause, or God, or creative energy, or the terms that may be had for the movement that brings matter into activity or being. The movement of spirit upon things that do not appear has brought into being the things that do appear, that of things that do that do appear. Hold on, folks. Matter is the expression of spirit in motion. That's all we need to, that's what they were saying. They broke it down more simply for everybody. So let's understand that. Matter is the expression of spirit in motion. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How? Question mark. The mind of God moved, and matter, form came into being. Vibration is movement. Movement is activity of a positive and negative force. I'm going to skip down some. So everybody pay attention. Just keep that in your mind. Matter is an expression of spirit in motion. And we, at the very beginning of this, talking about how psychic of a phenomena you are. So yeah, you can talk to spirit to create a formation. You can create it yourself because you're a portion of that creative energy. All right. For materiality is, or matter is, let's just say matter is that demonstration and manifestation of the units of positive and negative energy, or electricity, or God. Now we're back at units, y'all. Now we're back at units. We were just talking about the units. We can multiply them, we can divide them, we can move them about, we can do all the units. Matter is that demonstration and manifestation of the units of positive and negative energy, or electricity, or God, vibrations. Each atomic force of a physical body is made up of its units of positive and negative forces. That brings it into the material plane. These are of the ether, of the atomic forces, being electrical in nature as they enter into the material basis or become matter in its ability to take on or through off. I'm going to keep going, folks. So, as a group may rise, the atomic vibrations that make for those positive forces bring divine force in actions into a material plane. Those that are destructive are broken down by the rising of that vibration. That material, see, question mark. This is done through creative forces which are God in manifestation. Each atom of the body, physical, is an expression of the spiritual import. That is how matter comes into being. Uh, then there's a question. Let me break this down for a minute. Please, all we need to know about this, because I know this is getting long. I said break it up if you need to. What we need to, I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it again. As a group may raise the atomic vibrations that make for those positive forces as bring divine force in actions into a material plane. Those that are destructive are broken down by the rising of that vibration. Hmm. You spiritual import. We're going to look at the next question. As a group, as a group. So hear me out. I am always saying it starts with the individual, as it does, because you are a group of units. You are. You're a group of units. You're a portion of stuff, portions of things. So you, because you're an entire group in one. We are a little, we're small. Jeez. We are the micro, right? When we think of one, going back to lovely patrons, go back to your cell video. We are the micro one, many units, portions, what have you, all the cells in our body, matter, mental, spiritual, physical, right? We are all in one, but of many units. Always to, this is why I am always saying, to what degree? To what degree? To what degree? Because I'm really thinking, how many units would I involve in that? Anyways, you are one, so it starts with you. We are a little micro image of the one, right? Of the one. One is within you, you are within one, but we, our individual self, and all of our parts is a very good representation of the whole, right? And I say this because I don't know if people really, when we say collective, really, like collective means, well, everything. Collective means everything. And I think people think of the collective as just like humans here. That's it, humans. Well, all these humans are portions of the one. The one is flowing throughout all. That is the collective. What are positive vibrations? How would they be explained? Answer. How would one explain the differentiation between time in night and in day? How would one explain the differentiation in the activity of forces when there is a vibration force set in a cellular force? And one is set in an oval or oblong force, which penetrates or penetrated that force which produces or generates force as in its activity. And a negative force, as is seen in that as the ordinary or commonly in alchemy been called night side. So they're kind of talking day and night, right? That as is a positive force is that as of an active force in its action. See? Question mark. No, I'm sure the people around did not understand that. A balance is a negative force. A balance is a negative force. As you would see from a scale, weigh so much. Balance. See? They're trying to be like, are you understanding? Right? And yes, the Akashic will even say C. Lucky Stone 888 used to kind of pick on me about I always say C. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Because if you don't see it, you don't get it, right? If you don't see it, you don't get it. Period. Because this is all a projection. Now in this, we have the activity of gravitation added to that force which keeps this in action. See? This constant action of gravitation, which is a portion of the force as of universal forces, which keeps all in its balance. See, it applies right there, everywhere. In space, out of space, carries through in every form. In gravitation, commonly known, is that everything sinks to a common center or is drawn to a common center. While that as is while that as is expanded is a positive energy in opposite relation to that force drawing. When we begin to understand these, then we begin to see how the vibrational force is the active principle all radiates form. What is gravitation? The centralization, the centralization of vibrational force, ready to be changed in power by non-activity. See? Okay. So they started out with what is positive force? And they're like, well, positive force is this and this and that. But that didn't make any sense, right? That didn't make any sense because what's positive if you don't have negative? So they really had to talk about the negative. And if you notice, they started talking about negative is the balance. I did a series this past year called Chaos and Order. Negative is the balance. It has to be present for matter to exist. So then they're thinking, wow, they're not understanding this either, because, right? So then they start talking about gravity. And so patrons, there's a reason why I brought up gravity. We talked about how gravity is just a vibration, and that humans do have wings. Because we literally just read that a positive energy in opposite relation to that force drawing. It's positive is the opposite of gravity. So why I'm saying this, right, is because when we want to create form out of the formless, actually, I'm going to read it again. In gravitation, commonly known, they're saying that's the word that you guys use for this energy that draws in, that keeps us here, that makes things very dense to the point that this is a rock. Well, it's a crystal. It's a smoky quartz. 3D is very dense because of gravity, but humans have wings, as the Akashic will continuously say. They said it in the 2025 message. They continuously keep saying it. It's trying to help us understand that here in the density of 3D, we are being pulled in, drawn in, very dense within these meat suits. That's how these meat suits are created. It's how we create. It's how we create, right? It's how we can create form out of formless. We have to take a positive and a negative and bring it together and pull it into our sphere, right? I'm going to read it just again real quick, okay? In gravitation, commonly known, is that everything sinks to a common center or is drawn to a common center. Everything we're creating is coming to a common center. Drawn. I mean, they keep highlighting the word draw and drawn, right? is drawn to a common center, while that is expanded is a positive energy in opposite relation to that force drawing. Drawing to create matter, right? Drawing to create matter. Drawing inward gravitation. When we begin to understand these, then we begin to see how the vibration force is the active principle of all radius form. All that we see, all that we know, all that we see, all that we know has to have positive and negative. The positive is a higher mental, spiritual, as we talked about at the very beginning of this, your psychic phenomenon, having the thought first cause to then draw it down into the 3D to then see it as matter, positive and negative. Gravity is all vibration. Humans can live more of the opposite of the 3D gravity pull. And we will. We will. When we begin to understand these, then we begin to see how the vibration force is the active principle in all radius form. What is gravitation? The centralized vibrational force, ready to be changed, ready to be changed in power by non-activity. Okay. This was the whole reason we're together tonight, beloved patrons. And if you're all watching this later, awesome. This right here, the whole reason, but I couldn't get to this without getting to all that other. You psychic phenomenon, you are one, you are a portion of the one. There is time and space. One time, one space. The one is the all in the entirety. You, I mean, I had to go through all this. I had to go through all this for this right here. For this right here. So imagine if you wanted to create completely anew. Imagine if this entire matrix system that we think we live in, that we think we live in, we can change, we can create new. It's all open to us to do whatever we want, right? In this Earth sphere. We live here on Earth. We're in a meat suit. We want to have higher consciousness adaptation to this earth, right? Like that is our mission. So, okay, how do we do that? This right here, as they're talking about gravity, they literally ask, what is gravitation? The centralization of vibrational force, the centralization, the center of force here on this plane, right? The center of force. I mean, if you want to get something done, don't you go to the center of it? Don't you go to the center of what you need, right? Don't you get to the middle of everything? Don't you like I'm hoping this is coming across. Like the center. What's in your center? Your heart. The center. The centralization of vibrational force, right here, folks, ready to be changed in power by non-activity. That power by non-activity is your psychic force. meaning you don't necessarily have to toil and trouble and dig to the center. You don't have to do that. It's already there. You're already one. You're already creating. You're already co-creating. It's the acknowledgement. Not to take your dreams, your goals, your wishes, all of this stuff that spins around in the Akashic records of infinite potentialities. So many, folks. So many. So many. Daydream within yourself. Daydream, picture anew, completely anew, whatever you want to do. You can do it. You can pull it into the center force. Negative density. So all matter, you, me, everything that we touch, feel, taste, consume, what have you, enjoy, everything, right? Everything is positive and negative. Positive and negative. We have to call it as it just said. We just read it. We just read it. God has moved in space and time to make for that which gives its expression. As wheat, as corn, as flesh, as whatever may be the movement in thy called time and space. The movement of spirit upon things that do not appear has brought into being the things that do appear. So that is your unseen becoming seen, manifestations, miracles, what have you, not of things that do appear. Meaning we create out of the ether. We bring it down. We bring it down to our center. We bring it into our heart space. We go, ooh, I like that potentiality. Let's bring it down. Let's make it happen, right? That's what we do. And we can create completely anew. We can create completely anew. Matter is an expression of spirit in motion. So, beloved patrons, remember in one of the classes I said, you please go out into nature and open your senses entirely. Open them, stretch them to the point, if you can, to hear the vibration, to feel the vibration. And I know some were like, here? And I said, yeah, this crystal, it's got sound. It's got sound. Your senses are just very low because they've been in density. When we expand into positivity, we can sense all the one, the divine presence in motion everywhere through all of our senses. That's the miracles of these meat suits, man. These meat suits are fascinating, right? They are. We get to experience all of it through our senses. So, beloved patrons, go back to practicing to sight, to sound, to touch, to taste if you can. Not everything, right? Ignite your senses. When we ignite our senses, we expand more of our positive vibration, and we learn more how everything is in motion. Everything is moving. Everything is moving. So what we really have to do is we have to know what we want. And by the time you're able to get to really adopting this stuff, doing this stuff, which patrons, that is coming. That is a private matter with you. As I said, that this would, because our next class together is going to be how to align ourselves with that creative energy. So then we can take our dreams, take what we want, and go, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lasso those potentialities and I'm gonna bring them down to the center, bring them down into gravity, the negative. So therefore, it can become matter. Matter, divine in motion, in time and space, as one, you are the portion to do so here. We lasso all those beautiful ideas. We lasso them from out in the ether and we bring them down. We bring them down into the centralization that is ready to be changed, into the centralization, the gravitation that is ready to be changed by your psychic phenomenon self, the portion of you that connects you to your abilities to do so. The centralization, gravitation that is ready to be changed. Mm. Are you ready? If gravity's been waiting around that long, hmm, is your center ready? Is your center ready? Know thyself. I love y'all. Take this in stride. Take this in parts. Take this in pieces. I had to speak of one, to speak of another, to speak of another, to speak of another. So, I hope you all enjoyed. If you're catching this later, so thank you, beloved patrons, for allowing me to release this to others. I am you, you are me. We share in this community, so I appreciate that. Um, if you're watching this later, do consider joining us on patreon.com of Stars of the Morning Light, because we gather, we learn, we practice, we grow together, we heal together, and we're ready. We're ready to change the centralization. So bye everybody. Cheers, folks. Love you, stars. Keep on shining.